Hello and welcome, my friends, to day two of our Power BI conference. Good to have you guys on. If you are watching us live, just put something in the comments. Let us know where you're joining us from, and would love to hear from you. We have some exciting speakers for today. I'll actually be filling in for one of the speakers who dropped out. You can decide whether I was exciting or not, but I can definitely vouch for the other speakers. They're going to be amazing. So yeah, we're just going to give it a minute for people to get online, get going. I want to hear from you guys. Make sure you guys can see me, hear me. Yeah, Barry is here. So Barry is our moderator. You probably notice him around. Make sure to connect with him. And yeah, Barry will be keeping an eye and helping out people today as well. Thank you so much for doing this, Barry. Jeff is here, our speaker from yesterday. Jeff says hi from Napa. David is here from BC, Canada. That's awesome. We have people joining us from Houston. And folks, I don't know, it's something to do with the LinkedIn algorithm. Like some users, I see their name here, but some users I don't. I think it's something to do with your privacy settings. Anyway, Frank is here from Netherlands again, speaker from yesterday. Heather is here. Good to see you here, Heather from Iowa. Robert, my dear teammate, and yeah, Carl. I think it's too late for Carl, so I don't think he'll be able to join. Yeah. All right, awesome. And we have Saidak Bar from Norway. All right, folks. So super excited for this. Let me bring in our first speaker and introduce him to you. So, folks, yeah, welcome to the Power BI conference.
Hello,
Uh,
everybody. Hello. Good
yeah, that's
afternoon, morning, evening.
Yep. So we got our first speaker, Raul Jimenez. Now, before we get started, yeah, this conference is being hosted and sponsored by LearnPowerBI.com. Go to our website and check out our training and consulting options. All the speakers you've been hearing from at our conference have come from one of our training programs. So go check it out there. And of course, we offer consulting as well. With that, I'll turn it over to Raul. Raul, go ahead. I'll stop my screen share
Thank
and
you.
you
Thank you,
can
Avi.
kick us
Thank
off.
you, Robert. Thank you, guys. Carl, for all the hard work. If you guys, unfortunately, I had to turn on the background. We are in the staging phases for Christmas. My supervisor, my wife, so there's a bunch of boxes you might see. Anyway, if that's what it is,
Yeah.
that you see behind us. All right, let's jump into it. Give me a second, and I have to go here and start sharing. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, we see optimizing inventory. Yep. Full
Okay,
screen. Yep.
so
Right.
I will be giving you a breakdown of how we approach and how we put together the logic behind how we approach optimizing inventory for our customers. This has to do mainly with reordering of it, and I'll mention it in there. There are two parts. Actually, let's get slightly into it. Let's get into it. Inventory management and reordering, in a nutshell, very simple, is basically this. Look, we need to decide when to reorder so that by the time more of it comes in, we don't run out. Okay, so if we wait too long, it will be in trouble, obviously. Okay, so anyway, that's inventory management. Any questions? No, just kidding, guys. Look, you'll see I normally use a lot of humor, but and my brain works in very different ways. You'll see some of the examples of how I think, but it helps me to have a global understanding of what's happening. Like I was saying, reordering, when we are reordering or ordering inventory, what is in the warehouse, when we make the decision of what and how much to have in the warehouse, in which warehouse, if we have many distribution centers, there are two fronts: the reordering part of it, and from what has already been ordered, maybe last month or even a year ago, how is it performing? Okay, so this part, we're going to concentrate on this part today. This part, if we have time, I will mention it and give you an example of it. This has to do with something that might be a good product, but is not selling fast enough. Okay, so this is a part where we will be concentrating. The logic. Okay, so the agenda is looking at the logic that we follow, classifying the products. Normally, in any analysis that we do for our customers, we want to prioritize and focus. And out of the the vast number information that we have, we want to prioritize actions so we can take actions where it will make a difference. So ABC classification of products, forecasting the demand, taking into account the seasonality of the sales within the year and the trend year on year. How are we doing? Okay. Obviously, there are possible problems that we encounter, so we have to have safety stock. We will mention what is safety stock and how do we go about calculating it and recommending it, how much to order. Once we've made the decision that, yes, look, we have to order more, how much do we order? The EOQ, economic order quantity. And additional nice things that we want to include are automating the follow-ups, okay, and approval, mainly approval. Who approves the orders once the decision has been made to order this much? With Power Automate, we can bring it into the fold and give our customers the ability to have a bot that works for them and automates the approval process. If we have time, I think we will. You will notice that I'll talk a bit fast. Avi, if you feel like there's a good question to interrupt me, okay? The on-hand, what has already been ordered and is already in the warehouses, this is normally in the industry is called slow, or obsolete inventory. We will have a quick look at it and I'll show you an example about it, okay? Who am I? I'm a business data analyst, very happily married, and we have two beautiful children. I have over 25 years of international multicultural experience looking and dealing and leading very complicated, big projects, forecasting, resource needs, assigning, planning for them. About, yes, 25 years experience in Europe and in America. Okay, so again, the logic that we follow, the concepts themselves are very simple. Concepts themselves are very simple. We need to order product in time before we run out. So this is today. So we're sitting down at our desk and we're trying to make a decision. We have to see how much do we have, how much do we expect to sell. We want to look at that over the reordering. I call it the reordering horizon. Not only do we want to take into account the lead time, but a very important concept is that we have to take into account the review cycle. What do I mean? If we do this exercise of looking at this product group, this group, this family of products, obviously we're not going to do it every day. Do we do it once a week, once every 2 weeks? And if we only look at the lead time and decide not to order something, it's not going to happen until the next time. So we need to cover this period. Okay, so this is basically what we are doing. Okay, so the workflow is, do we need to reorder, yes or no? For that, we need to know how much stock do we have available for our customers to sell. And in that restocking horizon, how much do we expect to sell? If the decision is made that, yes, we need to reorder, how much to reorder, instead of just kind of like, yeah, more or less, trying to use numbers, again, data, to make the decision. And this is the other part. So these two are what we're going to be focusing on today. This part is like, okay, actually, no, so take it back. Sorry. This is also part of the main part that we're talking about today. What happens if we sell more than we expected? The forecast was slightly off, or, for example, there's a delivery in delay, okay? So we have to cover that. That has to do with the safety stock. And again, this is the part that hopefully we can speak about, is how is the stock that we already have, how is it performing? All right, so the elements that we take into account to make the decision of reordering yes or no, we make an ABC analysis, which is basically Pareto. We look at the products based on their revenue. Some people, it can be done by gross profit, by profit. Normally, we look at the revenue. Industry standards, normally, the top 80% are classified as A, the next 15% from 80 to 95 B, and C are the bottom. Normally, as expected, the great majority of individual items fall into the C category, and it is very important to take that into account because we normally find that there's a huge amount of stock just sitting there, and it's because it's a C product, and mainly the safety stock isn't being dealt with properly. Okay, this is taken from this is from a sales report. Because we have to analyze forecasts, obviously sales has to be analyzed, and it is something, a good byproduct to have for our customers, that we look at sales. As we can see, it does track that this is about 80%. This wasn't products. This has to do with customers. That's why there are so few. But anyway, first step, ABC classification. Next, forecast. We have to break out our crystal ball to look into the future. Obviously, that is, I say that in jest, but something that I'll say a lot of times throughout today and in general, we have to be pragmatic about these numbers. These numbers are assumptions. These numbers are guidance. So we have to be very, very clear about that and have that in mind. I like Professor Adams' first rule of forecasting. It's going to be wrong. The question is by how much. Are we off by 5%? That's very good. Are we off by 50%? That is not very good. Obviously, when making forecasts, we will have naysayers. The forecast was wrong. It's like it will always be wrong, even if it is by 5%. People will criticize it, but the bottom line is that what is the option? What is the option? Okay. So, forecasting, looking at the seasonality. This is within the months of the year. What is the distribution in terms of percent? You can see that this is the highest is 10%. So this will all add up to 100%. This one has two humps. Normally, it tends to be, depending if it's something over the summer, it'll be here, or if it's winter clothes, for example, it'll be like this, which means that, anyway, you guys get it. But this is a real example from one of our customers. It could be that this is agricultural product, there's a ramp up coming up to the spring of the northern hemisphere and towards the end of summer. Anyway, we need to classify. This is normally done by subgroup, by subfamilies of products. It doesn't make sense to try to do it by products individually. Again, we have to be pragmatic. Even though we could, Power BI gives us that ability, it doesn't make sense to do it like that. This is seasonality, and also that is within the year, the 12 months of the year on year. How are we looking at? This is a linear regression. The beauty of it is that now Power BI has that ability to do it. It takes a bit of tweaking and understanding and testing, but we can do it automatically for whatever granularity we want. This will give us the indication that we are growing by 5%, 5.5, 10, whatever it is, or it could be the other way around, obviously. Okay, with that information, with the forecast and having classified the products, going back into the basic core concepts, basically what we're doing is, okay, we are here today. This is the available stock that we have. This is our restocking horizon. Again, lead time plus review cycle. We have to make sure not to forget this. How much do we expect to sell? Normally in the examples, there's a nice line. We don't do it by attrition, but rather, okay, in this period, how much do we expect to sell? Be it a week, be in 6 months, if something has to be manufactured, brought in, and brought over. If we are below this, we don't have to order yet. If we expect to sell more, then it triggers a reorder. That's the reorder point. And we hope to be ordering something, and in the proper time it arrives and we sold the amount that we wanted. Now, obviously, in life, things it won't work perfectly. There are two things that can happen and will happen inevitably. We will sell more than expected. If we sell less, it simply means that the reordering points will go further into the future. But if we sell more than expected, or there are delays in the delivery, we will have a problem. So that is something that we know inevitably will happen. So that's where safety stock comes in. So the idea is that thinking that we did sell more, we expected it to be coming here, but we actually sold more, we have to have safety stock. Okay, the two things that I mentioned, we have bigger demand than expected. Okay, so we expect it to sell here, and we are here. This is me trying to do an example to my effort to show you guys that the demand obviously follows more than likely a normal distribution. Okay, so the orders can be very clustered around an average. Or it could be like this, even if it has the same average and the same quantities are ordered, it could be ordered in clusters of say 50, or very close by, or it can be the average is 50, but sometimes it's 80 or 100 anyway. So that uncertainty, we can analyze it with looking at the standard deviation, the delay in delivery also will follow more than likely a normal distribution. We have an average lead time, but sometimes, we expected it to be 40 days. That's the average, but sometimes it takes 55, or it could be that this is 85. It's very, very volatile. So those are things that we should take into account. Taking those things, normally we concentrate on the variability of demand, something that's very easy to calculate. Again, the beauty of Power BI allows us to focus on which elements to really get into and calculate. So by looking at the standard deviation of the demand, we can know if a product is very stable, it has a very stable demand or not. The lead time, it takes it into account. In this part, the Z-score is an element that tells us how much of the overall population of samples, how much of the possible cases do we want to take into account. So the further out we go here, we want to take into account 95%. Maybe we are happy to take into account only 80%. And that is something we can decide based on the ABC classification by prioritizing how much and the acceptability of not having something that only sells twice a year, not a lot. It's very random. The customer more than likely will accept us telling them, listen, you're going to have to wait 2 weeks. It's already on the water. We are here. There's a delay, but it's going to be 2 weeks. More than likely that'll be acceptable. So by having that classification and having that possibility, we really can optimize the levels of inventory. This is a very quick example. These are two samples with 50 data points. The average hovers around 49. The overall quantity is the same, but you can see that this varies between 41 and 53 items, widgets per order, and this one goes as far up as 70 and as low as 30. They give you the same average. They give you the same quantity over the period being analyzed, but this one will have a higher safety stock because it's more volatile. So we've established we need more. We have our safety stock to cover ourselves in case of variation. How much do we want to order? We use a concept of economic order quantity. There are two elements that come into play. We can have a big quantity, make very big orders, so we only order once a year or twice a year, and so we'll have fewer orders, or make smaller batches and have them more often. Okay, so if we look at those two elements, we have the order of cost of order rather. Let's say, assuming for example's sake, it's $80 per order. If we order only one element, it's $80. If we order two, half, 40, so on and so forth. You see that this diminishes rather quickly. The cost of holding is linear. It has the cost of insurance, it has the cost of money, it has the cost of warehousing, etc. And if we add these two, we will get a line like this that will give us a valley, and that is the optimum quantity. As I said, we have to be pragmatic about these numbers. This makes a number of assumptions. No point in going over those right now, but these assumptions, one of the main ones is it has a stable average demand throughout the year. That obviously doesn't happen. So we have to realize that this is giving us an order of quantity. Is this number around 200, or is it around 5,500? Okay, we shouldn't get bogged down on these, but the report said 223. We can't order more. We can't order less. By understanding what is the logic behind it, we do realize that, this is a number, but if we can nearly double the quantity, and the increase in overall cost for this product is not that big. So again, pragmatism. Power BI allows us to automate the calculation of this hundreds of calculations and averages, and we might have this. One of the projects I worked on within the last year and a half had 8,000 12,000 SKUs. We can automate all of that to free up our time to take into account all the numbers that we have and the indicators to yay or nay the orders, and to increase it a bit up or down. Okay. Additional things that we can order, especially this one. This one is very important. We have to have a very easy way. I said product managers, who anybody that is responsible for the forecasting, to interact with the model and adjust it. Now, not to tweak it to make it look nice and match the management's forecast and expectations, but to adjust to information that we might have. It might be new customers. It might be a competitive advantage that we have gained or lost customers. So by talking to the team and communicating with everybody, we might know that, look, it's going to be a good year. We expect to sell 15, 20 more than what the pattern has been. We expect to sell less, so we don't over buy. I know to a lot of us, Excel and exporting to Excel is it makes us feel sad inside. But the bottom line is that most ERPs interact very easily with Excel, especially by choosing a column, two columns with a list of SKUs and the quantities. Okay, so we have done this for customers in the past where we have Power Automate. We create a bot that exports the information, puts it into Excel, and with macros and buttons, very easily they can collect that information and put it into the ERP. That greatly reduces human error. Automating the process of automating the process of approval. So sending it to the ERP, and also approvals. Whoever has to approve the quantities, we can automate with a button, having a bot that works for our customer and sends the information to whoever is responsible for the approval, have them approve, yay or nay, increase, decrease, and using Power Automate to do this for our customers greatly frees up time for people to concentrate on other things just as important, but that need to be taken care of. A very important thing that we sometimes forget, and I think it might be, I don't know if it's being naive or thinking that, okay, I've developed my forecast, I programmed all my measures, and that's it. But we have to see the performance of the forecast. As I said, it'll be wrong. Hopefully it's wrong by only 5%. We have to create a separate report that goes hand in hand with it, that says how wrong our report is. There are myriads of different statistical ways of doing it. We normally look at the bias and the mean absolute error, which entails looking at what the forecast was expecting, what is the actual. Once we have looked back 2, 3, or 6, 8 months of actuals, how off were we? Okay. So let's look at some examples. We have to be pragmatic, guys. We see how many calculations are involved. Power BI can help us do them, but we shouldn't get bogged down on the number, but be pragmatic and look at everything about it. Very importantly, keep it simple. I always show this as an example. This is the control room of a submarine from 100 years ago, 1920s. If you know how to use this, it'll work perfectly. But we don't want to create something that has tons of information just because it's there. But look, we calculated the standard deviation, we calculated variance. That shouldn't really be out there. We should aim to delivering something that is fairly simple. So this is something that we have done for our customers. And so the concept is to look at it and be like, how many do we have available? How many do we expect to sell? Do we don't need it? Or additionally, we do. Now, obviously, it does take, I put in there, it has the quantity available. We see the class of the item. This is index, but this is because I was anonymizing the information. This is a product. Quantity available, how much is coming in, how much is expected, and you'll see the minimum order quantity is good for them to have. Advice, sometimes the ERP might tell people to buy something when they don't need it, and we give them the ability to know why not. We want to be able to you'll see this has expanded data. This is mainly at the early stages to get buy-in and understanding. An analyst that simply gets a report and takes it at face value, in my opinion, is not great. We should want to know why it's happening. Otherwise, it's a black box. That's it wouldn't be great. So we normally give them the ability to look at the additional information. Obviously, after a point, okay, we want to see, okay, what do we need to reorder? They need to have the ability to have a look at it. If they further want to see the behavior of something, why so much, why so little, they can click on it. And in this one, it doesn't show it, but we normally have a drill through with additional information of who's buying it, who's the buyer, who's the salespeople, etc. But as I mentioned, the beauty of one of the newer tools in Power BI, linear regression, that gives us the trend of what is happening with that product. And so, it's as we know, the beauty of a Power BI calculates it automatically. Another thing, and this is more for the developer, not so much for the customer, is looking at there will be a lot of products that have not unstable, but they has outliers. They has certain elements that will throw us off. And if we see here, these we can look at the variation, the what do you call it? The coefficient of variation, which is a relationship between the standard deviation and the average of what we were looking at of the monthly orders per product. And that normally, if it hovers, if it's below 1, means 100%, it tends to be very stable. If it's a lot higher, it isn't. This would be mainly for the initial stages when we're developing the forecast to tune it up. We can find elements that have a higher standard variation, coefficient of variation, and we see why. In here, we can see that the orders are fairly stable, but there are some very high orders. We can look and should look into it to see why. Is it something that is repeatable? Is it something that we expect every year? We talk to the salesperson, talk to the customer. Let's get ahead of this. And a lot of times at the early stages when developing this, and we find elements like this, we find that there are practices that maybe management didn't know about, and some salespeople, somebody might be putting in ghost orders in the system to tie up, And the bottom line is there should be other ways of doing it instead of having to do this type of thing. It doesn't mean that always, it doesn't mean that the majority, but it's the type of stuff that once you start really looking at the data and shining a light on it, it's you find things like this. The beauty of Power BI, it allows us to do measures that greatly reduce the calculations that we have to do by hand. This gets into the end. This is the forecasting that looks at the orders, looks at the percent seasonality, and this looks at the year-on-year growth that was calculated with linear regression to give us the yearly orders. And as you see, after all of that and all those calculations and all the work that goes behind it, the idea is to have something that is simple. There's no point of overcomplicating it, and I used to do that at the beginning. There was so much information I wanted to share it. We shouldn't, simply because it's there. Okay. So recapping, how much do we have available? How much do we expect to sell by the time we get the new stock? I'm looking at the time. So what happens if we sell more than we expected, or there's a delivery, and how much should we order? So touching on that other part of it, the existing products, how is it performing? The concept of slow inventory, slow selling is we might have something that looks great. It's the sales are a lot every year. The margin is great. The year-on-year growth is great, but we have too much of it. Let's say this product we sell 1,000 a month, $12,000 of cost of goods sold a year. The cost of it, we keep on average $10,000. We order up to $12,000 of stock. We start to sell within 4 or 5 months after we've reached 8,000. We start. So on average, we have $10,000 of it in the warehouse. We're selling 1,000 a month. It means we have 10 months to sell. That's 1.2 turns a year. That is, unless you're selling cars, which is 1 or 2 turns, very high-end ticket products. A turn, 1.2 turns is not good. This is inventory that is tying up, it has warehousing costs. It's tying up cash. It has insurance costs. This is the kind of stuff that when we walk into the supermarket and they have a pallet of 20% per today until this amount sells, that has to do with this. Okay, they realize they have a bit too much. It's like, oops, let's bring it down. It's still selling. We're gonna keep buying it, but right now what we have in there, let's bring it down. We have developed a reports like this for our customers where my apologies, I got too excited going over the escape. So what we have is we are giving the customers the ability, and you can see here the annotation, show us products that have 6 months of inventory to sell and that have at least $10,000. And it's grouped. I'll show you. This will be able to move forward in a bit. You can obviously, by clicking on it, the interaction, you can zoom in. This is months to sell. You can change this, and I'm going to stop this here in there and tells, actually, hold on. You know what? Let's zoom into it even further, and so we can concentrate, do a first pass on elements that have at least a year of product to sell, and that product has at least $30,000. These numbers, obviously, we can play with them. So this is grouping them. It allows us to, as we know, Power BI, to interact with it. In this helps me a lot to visualize it. So this is months to sell. Looking at this, it looks like in anonymizing the information stuff. But sometimes you'll find things with 5, 6, 7, 8 years of inventory in there, and it's simply because people were not paying attention. And this is the cost of the inventory on hand. So obviously, this is the worst zone to be in. It takes forever to sell it, and we have a ton of it. But these areas are also problematic, and these are also problematic. The idea is to be able to really zoom into something and take action and see. So this one, as you can hover over it, it tells you which product it is. It says we have 20 months. Anyway, you guys get it. So the idea is to, from the thousands and thousands of products and the thousands of different possibilities that we have in there, to give the customer the ability to concentrate on what's important, to reorder in the proper quantities at the right time to the right locations, and also once you have ordered the product, to be able to analyze and see what is happening. Thank you very much, everybody. I was going to say let's talk right now, but Avi, I imagine I ran into the.
No, you're good. No, you're good. Yeah. Hey, man, I love seeing you present. Thank you so much. Hey, folks. So I know if you have questions, put at Raul in there. We'll try to take some questions here, and then that way Raul can get back to you kind of offline, going through the comments as well. So make sure to just put at Raul in there. I have some questions. I'll line them up. And Raul, you're absolutely good on time because the next speaker is me. I'm filling in for somebody who's not able to make it. So I would rather hear you speak than actually leave the contact slide up just in case.
Okay, bear with me. Hold on. Okay, yeah, what is let me share again.
All right, so
you know me, I'll keep talking, Avi.
Yeah, so I think Jeff was asking a question. You did partly answer, but I'll ask again in case you have some other thoughts. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. So what Jeff was asking was, and I don't know what point this was, that does this incorporate RPA, which I think is like something automation to create reorders. And I know you mentioned about that later. There was something about uploading things in Excel, email. So there's some stuff, right? So Power BI gives you information, but then there's like, okay, how do we enact on it? And I remember your slide, you had that, oh, we upload some information into the ERP system.
Hmm.
There's a other set of emails. I mean, hey, that works. But is there more
Sorry,
automation?
RPA, robotic process automation. That's like a bot. RPA, yeah, yes. In that, for example, in the communication, so we have done, for example, in the report to have a hyperlink to the Excel file that has the ranges of ABC. So no,
Mm,
look, we don't want 80%. We want 85%, and the other one we want to be 90. So we can have a link and that one that's not RPA, but goes into the Excel file, and they can update it, and then have a button in Power BI
yeah,
with a bot that refreshes the data in the model.
got it. So,
We or have the Excel with the quantities,
yeah,
or the page with the filtered quantities that we want. Get a button and have a product group, for example, I don't know, bicycles, mountain bikes. Hit a button which it looks at the bots that has been created and looks at who's responsible for bicycles, emails them in Excel with the approval, yay or nay, with buttons, and it
yeah.
creates
So
the. So yes, we have incorporated RPAs into our robots, bots into our solutions.
got it. So I had a question, and you showed the mathematical formula, and there was like standard deviation. But I was like, standard deviation. So standard deviation in the demand for a product, like how many orders do we get? But over what time period should that be calculated?
Normally about a year.
Okay,
Normally
okay,
a
fair
year.
enough.
Now that's a very. I'm discussing this with other inventory nerds as myself. Is it worth it? And can it be? And yes, we
Mm,
should be able to look at, okay, the next period, which is the next 6 months, let's say, that might be a very high or low sales period.
yeah,
It might be worth it to look at that, to say, okay, we had 100 worth of safety stock because it was through the high volatility, but now we can reduce it to 60. We are looking into that. Normally a year. Normally
okay.
a year.
So I'm not sure I fully understand this, but Attila is asking, do you calculate the actual stock in Power BI based on only purchases and sales data, or getting stock value from ERP? Oh, okay. Yeah.
The
Do you
value,
calculate stock value based on the FIFO, the first in, first out method in DAX? Yeah.
yes,
How are you
FIFO.
keeping track of stacks?
That
Stock.
FIFO, yes, but that is normally the ERPs deal with FIFO. So the age of the stock in itself, we don't deal with that. I normally, and to be honest, the ERP normally does that. We normally don't deal with perishable goods.
Mm-hmm.
So that the concept of FIFO and prioritizing older stock is very
Ah,
heavy in that sense, is that, if you have milk and you have two different
yeah.
batches, you want to sell the older one. Perishable goods is perishable, not only food products that may be within a year, because of security and safety, you have to sell them. That is a concept that it comes in. We do communicate with the ERP to get all the
Mm-hmm.
information. Actually, that triggers something that I don't think I'm realizing. I didn't mention in here. We analyze not the sales in when they were invoiced, which normally ERP people ought to look at the sales by invoicing date, but rather order. And we take into account when something was ordered, whether it was available or not. Because if something wasn't available and it was shipped 2 months later, and you're capturing that information, you will capture the information when it was invoiced 2 months later. You are
Mm,
perpetuating and building into your system those back orders and those
yeah.
stock outs.
Yeah.
So that is it sounds simple once you think about it. It's the kind of stuff that once
Mm-hmm.
you think about it, it's like, duh. But
Yeah.
we do find that a lot of the Excel manual ways that companies have done, once we start looking at them, have those mistakes built into them.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Hey, Raul, thanks so much. And folks, make sure to connect with Raul. He is listed on the speaker page for this event. Uh, you got his contact information. He's easy to find. And yeah, great person to talk to. So, uh, and obviously, you can see he's such an expert in his domain. So, if you or somebody you know has warehouses or needs like that, monitoring the inventory in stock, Raul is the person to contact. All right. All right.
Thank you,
Thanks, Raul.
Julie. I see that. Okay, all right, guys, have a
Yeah.
great one.
All right. Take care. All right, folks. So I am filling in for one of the speakers, and hopefully I can do a half decent job. Let's see. And I know people. It's been a little tricky to select the right screen. I think I got it right.
I,
All right. Let's see. Oh, yeah. I should start with the screen. Okay. So let's go here. So yeah, so we'll I have about 20 minutes. So yeah, welcome to Power BI conference, and I wanted to talk to you about really what's been going on in my life, working with small businesses, help them grow their sales. And I may have some examples, law firms, dental clinics, and such that I've worked with. And yes, this is being hosted and sponsored by learnpowerbi.com. Check out our website for our training and consulting options. All right, so with that said, let's talk about small businesses. Now, I have worked with businesses. So, folks, I don't have any PowerPoint presentation or anything. I'll just have slides. Oh, sorry, not slides. I'll just talk about it. Hopefully, that is cool with everybody. And all right. So, I have worked with companies of all sizes and shapes, and it's the oddest thing, career wise. Yeah, so small businesses, but recently I'll say that I've kind of fallen in love with it, and I could talk on and on about why, but I don't need to. So somewhat unrelated, but I was listening to somebody, and they were saying they were a doctor, and I don't know, maybe they were in like hospice care or something. So they said that they have sat next to the bed of thousands of people who are dying. And they said that there's profound wisdom in what they say. And they don't talk about what. They don't talk about their houses or the cars or blah or this or that. You know what they talk about? They talk about the who. They talk about the people. They want their loved ones around them. So, yeah, small business is not necessarily for me about what. Like, yeah, I mean, I want to focus on what, like growing the sales and that sort of stuff, but it's more about who. And for who, I want you to meet Dr. Daniel Clower. And I'll admit, I've become a little bit of a fan. He is one of my clients, but is just an incredible individual. And now my goal is that, hey, can I find other Dr. Clowers in this world and can I help them? I would I would feel so grateful for this life. I would feel like I've put this to some purpose, some goal. So Dr. Clower is pretty amazing. And what he works is he's a dentist who specializes in TMJ treatment. TMJ is the temporomandibular joint, that is your jaw joint right here. And these things are really hard to diagnose. They're often not diagnosed or misdiagnosed. People start having symptoms and they think it's stress or something. The doctors tell them, no, it's just stress, reduces stress. No, it's TMJ issues, and he looks at it from a very holistic level where the body is connected. So there's a lot there, and he has gone deep into studying that and making himself in the position to help people with this. So yeah, so it's really the who, and of course shout out to, and it's never a person. Even for me, there's Robert, there's Carl. So he's got an incredible team as well. I've gotten to work with Jillian and Dr. Clower. So it's really the who's driving me. If I can find people like this and help them, that'll be pretty amazing. So, and on the other side, a lot of times people are focused on, like, people talk to me about, hey, how to get jobs, how to get clients, and you're looking at big businesses, I think this is a great opportunity because these small businesses are the backbone of the US economy. I mean, if you look at the numbers, it's staggering. Like the percentage of jobs it creates, the percentage of revenue, the percentage of GDP, and a lot of people are not focusing about it. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. So let's switch gears a little bit. So earlier I was talking about that, why am I motivated to help small businesses? Let's look at it from their perspective. So in my time working with them, what have I seen are the challenges that these business owners face? This first one is tricky because it's more to do with their leadership skill, I think, right? And I have met people who are in in the CEO role, but they're in the boiler room of the ship, right? So the captain of the ship, but instead of being in the perch and have that wheel in their hand and guiding the ship the right way, they're in the boiling room shoving coal, and they're dirty and covered in the soot and whatnot, right? So it's maybe admirable for a short time. It's like, yep, I respect that you can roll up your sleeves and get into it. But long term, it's going to hurt your business. It's going to hurt you, right? So that is not smart, but I see that. And that's obviously I can't control about that. That's kind of their choice, their style. But the challenges that I see is that, yeah, they spend a lot of times trying to do it themselves or with their team. There's a steep learning curve. And guys, there's a real risk. So yesterday, who was the speaker? Frank did a survey of how many years of experience people had on this call. And most of the people, 50%, said 3 years or more. Anybody who's been around Power BI long enough knows the kind of stupid shit we did when we were beginners. When I look at the models that I built when I was starting out, I cringe every single time, like, oh boy, right? And when I step into somebody who's been trying to do Power BI on their own, inevitably it's a mess, right? And what that leads to is a lot of risk. You're making changes to reports can be hard. That's the whole premise of Power BI. It may be hiding accuracy problem, and the data architecture is almost non-existent. So you can dig yourself in a hole. There's a risk. I'm not saying it happens to everybody, but there is a risk of that. And of course, if they work with me or a qualified Power BI professional, hey, so I have this idea of what I call zone of genius, and this applies to everybody, even to us. Like, but when I'm working with them, when I'm partnering with small businesses, these are dentists, these are law firms, these are fitness studios, hair salons. I let them focus on their zone of genius, serving their customers, because I'm doing my zone of genius, right? Power BI is my thing. I love data and I love creating these reports for them. So yeah, so we can each operate in a zone of genius. And yeah, and you can get results much faster. And that means you're not waiting. You can leverage that data to make decisions sooner. So I was speaking with Dr. Daniel Klauer, and man, he's he's so amazing. He's really amazing. And he said something which stunned me. He said, data is like an extra employee. And what a beautiful idea. An extra employee, which you really don't have to pay much at all. You have to pay him peanuts, right? Peanuts compared to what you would pay to a regular employee. Almost nothing. There's a little bit of money in the development of the report, and then it's what, $10 per user per month. It's nothing. But it's an employee who's going to go to work for you. Why not get them to work for you sooner? And hey, for big businesses, sometimes there's a lot of inefficiencies. I mean, I've been in Microsoft, where Microsoft and other companies, and we would work on a project for 3 years only for it to be canned, right? Like, oh, no, we're not doing it. And all of that effort gone. But in a small business, it's not like that. Having one employee who's super productive can make the world of a difference for a small business. And the data becomes that employee. And otherwise, it's an employee, yeah, who's just sitting around doing nothing. And yeah, you don't want that around. And again, I mean, if you hire an expert, you get that good architecture, you get trustworthy reports, which grows with your business. That's the important thing. Small businesses, hey, may not always be small. I always like to say the small businesses can still have big dreams, right? And you can grow in a lot of ways. We don't have to become the next Amazon, next Facebook. We can have a deeper impact. We can network with other small businesses more effectively. We can increase our profit margins. There's so many ways you can grow. Um, yeah. All right. So that's the that part. The next challenge that they face is, even if they realize this, that hey, doing it myself or ourselves, right, with me and my team, it's not the best approach. But when they go out to look for a consulting firm, and this is all true, this is what they told me when I talked to them. Say, Avi, they treat us like small fish. And yeah, so they would say it to their face, right? They would say, oh, this is your total revenue. Oh yeah, maybe you can qualify for our lowest tier, right? To their face. And I was like, yeah, maybe if you're lucky, you're so privileged to be working with us. It's just unbelievable the vibes that they're given. And even then, they could be paying top dollars, but they often get kind of cookie cutter copy paste solutions. They don't have, he's just another client and a very small client. And yeah, they're not interested. And I've seen this happen quite a bit, the bait and switch, which is you may be talking to a senior consultant in the initial conversations, the sales conversations, you would be very impressed. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in great hands. It's going to be great. And then the switch happens as soon or very soon after you sign the contract and you start working. And now you got the rookie or the apprentice. And you're like, what happened? Where is that person? Right? Where's Jane? We love Jane. Bring her back. Like, yeah. Jane is busy talking to other clients. So that happens. And we know, and again, I don't want to generalize too much. I'm sure there are good firms out there, but hey, consulting firms have sometimes significant overheads, right? They have sales teams, they have offices, they have relationship managers, right? That sort of stuff. And none of that has anything to do with Power BI. So they got that overhead, which maybe is the high cost. And what we see often in projects like this is cost overruns. So the way I like to serve small businesses is very different. Again, I don't have any of those overheads. I don't have a fancy office. I'm working in my bedroom over here. Don't have a sales team. And yeah, but they get to work directly with me. If you contact me for consulting, guess who you're talking to? You're talking to me. Yeah, nobody else. you know. And yeah, so we talk and we work together. So no handoffs. You're not going to be handed off to a rookie or an apprentice. And I love that. I love working and creating those deep relationships with their business. I see myself more as a growth partner for these small businesses. I'm not just there to build reports. And yeah, with Dr. Clark, working with Dr. Clark, I've gotten to know their business, and we brainstorm often. We look at the reports and it's like, what about this? What about that? And of course, I don't have the deep business knowledge that he has, but it can be an advantage because I bring an outsider's perspective. So he has mentioned that hey, I really appreciate it. And of course, I can bring in my outsider's perspective based on all the different businesses that I've worked with. So maybe I've seen something working with another business and I can bring that here. So all right, I want to make sure on time. I don't want we do have a next speaker after this. So I work directly with them. And guys, anybody who signed up for Learn Power BI program, I give you 100% guarantee. And it took me some time, but I think consulting should be the same way. Why should they be at risk of all of this stuff? I'm okay. And yes, it took some courage. And initially, I was not ready for this. It sounded really scary. But at this point, I say, hey, 100% guarantee. If you're not happy, don't have to pay me a penny. So we talked about this. Like the first, they're trying to do it themselves. And next, they're trying to hire somebody, but that can backfire. That can be really risky. But I think the biggest risk for small businesses is doing nothing. Right? Sometimes the worst thing is do nothing. And it is tempting. It is incredibly tempting sometimes. And hey, I'm a small business owner myself, so I know how it goes. You're like, yeah, it's kind of working. Maybe it's not great, but it's working. Why change it, right? Why fix something if it's not broken? But I think the world has changed, and there is a big risk to this. So yeah, I'm not going to speak too much about it, but you get the idea that it's yeah. I mean, if you just focus on staying safe, keeping safe, that is what would hold you back and maybe cause you to perish. And by the way, it doesn't just apply to businesses; it applies us to us. We are our own CEO, right? And whether it doesn't matter, even if you have a 9 to 5 job, I hope you operate life like that. That I'm the CEO of my life. And if you're all just focused on, oh, I'm gonna keep it safe, yeah, this is well, guess what? That may be what leads you to yeah, it's just kind of staying stuck and being overwhelmed by change. All right, so that's a little bit about that. I wanted to show you some of the Power BI stuff that I've done. So with the dental clinic, it's been really interesting because they have a very different set of metrics that they track. Believe it or not, one of the key metrics that is tracked in the dental industry is number of days worked. And can you guess that what is their goal for that metric? uh, is to drive it down, of course. Yeah, yeah, I'm really liking dentists. They're caring, but they're well balanced. The more I'm hearing about them and talking to them. Uh, but for dentists, let's see. I'm gonna focus on what we did around demographics. So any small business or maybe big business, you always spending money on advertising and marketing, right? And there's this adage that 50% of the money spent on that is wasted. The key is figuring out which 50%, right? So that your data can tell you. So if you know who your customers are, who your audience is, you can just fine tune your advertising and marketing in a much better way. You would know who to target, right? And you would know where to target them. So where to put the flyers, where to put the virtual flyers, where to advertise, right? So when you're going on Facebook, going on other platforms, you could say, oh, for this region, target that region, and so forth. So who to target, where to target, and the third and the most important thing, how to target. What do I mean by that? I mean by that the messaging. Once you understand who they are, the better you understand your customer, the better your messaging is going to be, because your messaging is going to resonate to them. It's like, oh, he's talking to me. Oh boy, right? I mean, that's how powerful it should be. That all comes from understanding your customer demographics. Now, hey, for this demo, this is a little bit too stir crazy on the location. And you know what? Hey, guys, give me a second. I'm just gonna pause. I'm gonna uh, ping our next speaker really quick. Mm, okay. Mm, okay. Oh boy, where is that? Ah, there we go. Okay, mm, all right. So hopefully our next speaker is on the way. Otherwise, I'd have to keep talking. All right, we'll maybe check in with you guys. All right. So okay, so let's talk about demographics. Now, I'm going to dive into a lot of mapping, and folks will probably keep going till the next speaker shows up. We'll see. I'll focus on mapping, but I'll say that generally mapping is embedded into the dashboard. So it's part of that. Mapping is something which is both the most abused visualization element and most underused. It's abused because, God, I mean, people use maps for uh, ridiculous things. Like, you can have data in 3 countries, USA, Mexico, and Canada, and you're showing it on a map. Dude, that's BS, right? That's just complete BS. Don't do stuff like that. People don't need to see USA, Canada, and Mexico on a map, and just do a simple column or bar chart, right? So that's the I've yeah, that really ticks me off. maps being used when they should not be used, but they're also the most underused because sometimes maps just make sense. So usually I like embedding them. For this one, we're just going to kind of dive down. All right. So the first level here is we have, so in this case, and again for dental clinic and stuff, usually they have a form which patient fills out, right? So the address and all that stuff. So they have loads of customer information, customer data, which is a great advantage. A lot of businesses don't have that. You may only have kind of their email address or something, but in this case, they do have detailed patient information, so you can see where are my patients. And by the way, of course, guys, this is anonymized data, so you can see exactly where everybody's coming from. And this itself is mind blowing for many businesses. So yeah, just being able to see them as a dot, like, ooh, whoa, this is what's going on. Yeah, man, this is so cool, so cool. But you can you can layer on additional information in the map. Now here we have on the table, we have more information. So let's try that again. We have for each city, what is the count of the sales, right? So we have that. And then we have the dollar amount. And then we have the unique customer account. So we have some customers who come in again and again, right? So about 1,000 customers, maybe 3 purchases per customer. Well, not purchases, but patient visits, right? In this case. And then sales per customer, right? So dollar per customer. And we can layer any of that to, so earlier every kind of thing was a dot, but now we can layer that and indicate the size of the dot. So I think, I actually don't remember which one I used here. Oh, we're using the sales dollar amount. So we have taken the sales dollar amount, and now that represents the size of the bubble. So let's look at the same graph again. And now you can see it looks a little different. Earlier, each dot was the same size, but now we can see in this fictitious case, the business is located where I live, Issaquah. That's a Seattle neighborhood and Seattle suburb. And yeah, and you can see, yeah, so the size of the bubble is kind of telling you most business coming from right here in Issaquah. Oh, so this is by zip code. This is split by zip code, which is great, right? So yeah, so you get that. So this is second level. You can code in additional information in the map. I'm about 50-50 on this. Frankly, I try not to do this with my clients. I don't think it's very useful. I think it's just, it can be shown in a better way, but you can do that, So here you can see like the male percentage and the female percentage and the split and so forth. Let's see, I had another example which may be slightly useful. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this one is kind of the products sold. And again, I'm still, the jury is still out for me. It's like, is this useful? I think they can be better visualization, but maybe in some cases it's going to be useful. So yeah, so that's cool. That's there. This one was my favorite analysis. I really love this. That what percentage of a business? Oh, we do have our next speaker on. Hey, Rosette, I'm going to wrap up in like 2 minutes and then we'll bring you on. All right. Okay, we'll keep you on. All right. So, so actually, let me go full screen of the demo. So, this took some work because we had to calculate the zip codes, we had to calculate the distance and all. And when Raul showed his measure of the forecast, and it's like pages long, but I made a comment saying that that was incredible because once you define something, you can use it everywhere. So anyway, we had the thing to calculate the distance and all that, and now we can do analysis like this. So you can see here, it's got this graph like this. It drops off. Most of the customers are coming from close to that, and we can kind of zoom in. And yeah, and we can do kind of analysis like that. All right, so since our next speaker is here, I'm going to make a quick switch, but there's other stuff. I love segmentation, like ABC classification, what Raul was talking about. It can we segment our locations. Where are our highest value customers coming from? Where are the tier 1 cities, the tier 2 cities, tier 3, and so forth. And of course, you can segment your customers and you can say who are the customers who comprise the top 10% of our customers, the next 20%, the next 30%, next 40%, and maybe categorize them as VIP, elite, and so forth. And again, be able to see them, let's go, where are they, and then see their details, like, oh, this is what's happening. Oh, why haven't these people ordered? There's so much you can do in there. And of course, we focused on mapping, but customer attributes, whatever you have age, gender, occupation, children, cars owned, house owner or not. You can use that and again slice and dice it with the goal of again knowing your customers. Because if you know your customer, you are better equipped to smartly get a better ROI on your marketing and advertising spend, because you know who to target, where to target, and how to target them. All right, folks, let's get Rosette on the call here. Hey, Rosette, we can't see you on the camera. I think we can hear you. Just
Okay. Um,
awesome. Would you be able to turn your webcam on?
it's on.
Oh, now that's somehow it's not working.
Working. I can't open it on my end. Did you set
Okay,
it?
let's see. I will get my. Oh shoot, where's my PowerPoint? Oh, there it is.
Okay.
All right, let's come back here. Yeah, we can go without your webcam. We can try that. Oh, Rosette, I think we lost your audio. All right. Hey, Rosette, can you hear me? Hi
I
there.
can hear you. Yes. I'm
Okay,
here.
good. I say somehow your webcam is not coming up, but as long as the screen share works, we should be okay. So I'll kick you
Okay.
off, and then you can share your screen and go from there.
Okay. Awesome.
All right, sounds good. All right, folks, welcome. You've been watching the Power BI conference, and next up is Rosette Cass, and I'm super excited to be hearing her speak. This conference is hosted and sponsored by LearnPowerBI.com. Check out our website and our training and consulting options. And with that quick intro, I'll turn it over to Rosette. So, Rosette, I'm going to stop my screen sharing. You can go ahead, share your screen, and take us away.
All right. Thank you, Avi, for inviting me, for letting me speak. My first time here, so I'm very excited. And okay, so let me share. Choose what to share. Okay. Screen.
Yeah, you probably want to choose the entire screen option and then just
Okay.
share that. So it'll show you three options: Chrome, tab, window, entire screen.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, entire screen works best.
Okay. Challenges here. Stop sharing. Let me start again. Share again. Okay. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yep. So we're seeing your PowerPoint presentation, but it's
Okay.
in the edit mode. It's not full screen yet.
Okay. It's not full screen. Okay. Okay.
Do you have multiple screens?
I do. I do.
Okay. Okay.
And stop. So is that full screen now or no?
No, yeah, we had the similar challenge with another speaker yesterday. Yeah, we're looking still at the yep, uh, at where your mouse is. Yeah, right now.
Okay, see. Okay. Start from. Can you see it now? Full screen?
No, have you shared
Oh,
a window or your entire screen? If you shared
I
a
share.
window,
I
that
share the entire
wouldn't.
screen.
Okay, yeah, that's really weird. Yep, we still see the it in edit mode. I mean, you can keep going like this. Unfortunately, the animations and stuff, if you have those, it doesn't work right.
Work. Okay. Okay.
So we're seeing it in edit mode. We can see your mouse move right now. And when
Okay.
you're going to full screen, where are you seeing it? Are you seeing it on this screen or a different monitor?
I see it on this screen because I do have one monitor at this point.
Oh,
On here, not two. Yeah.
okay.
Just
Can you just try stop the screen share and try again with the entire screen? So share screen, make sure you say entire screen,
share
and then go
screen.
from there.
Entire screen.
Yeah, I'll have to test it out because Jeff might
Yeah.
be on. Yeah, Jeff Gasman. Yeah,
I have
we were
entire
trying to figure it
screen
out the
on.
same thing
Yeah.
yesterday.
And
Okay, yeah, we do see it in edit mode, but I think if you go uh,
home.
present it, then it does not work. Try going to presentation mode again. Share screen.
So, okay, okay. So sorry. Mm,
No worries.
Presenter from the beginning. Can you?
Oh, yay!
Are
It's
we
working.
good now?
And just do me a favor. That you see that thing where it's saying Studio Restream is sharing your screen. Just click
Yeah.
hide on that one.
Okay.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah. So yeah, go
Okay.
back and you can kick
It's
it off.
okay. Sorry,
Yay!
guys.
All right, now you're good.
All
You're
right.
good.
Okay. It's going too fast. I'll pause it for a little bit. I had. All right. Okay. All right. All right. I'm gonna do escape right now for a minute, so I can. Is it still full screen?
No, it went back
They
to
went.
edit mode. Yeah, but I think we're
Okay. I think I'll turn
looking
off.
good. Yeah.
Sorry about the timings. I'll just remove those. Okay. Are we good?
Yep, looking
Okay.
good on the first slide, full screen. Woohoo!
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Sorry about that. Yeah. So newbies.
All
I
good, all
think that's
good.
what
Yeah.
happens. Okay. Rosette, and today I'm very excited to be here and working alongside all the experts. And I salute all the speakers and the entire team. So here, this is my contact information. Don't have too much. Um, I've been working in finance for quite some time. When I started out, uh, in manufacturing, I've worked in different domains. So I will start with I love Power BI, and it's a really robust tool. And now Microsoft bringing in Fabric, it's just end-to-end solution. And this all starts out with lots of teams I've worked on, and the pain with data being in silos in different places, and a lot of fights with the with the teams, and making sure like we have the right data, to to create reports. So agenda for today, I, this customer that I did volunteer to help. Um, so scope starts with to build a sales dash for a financial service firm. It's a small firm here in my area. So I just suggest to kind of use Fabric and Power BI. So what we wanted, what they wanted to do is just they wanted to analyze customer behavior over some time to personalize some recommendations so they can improve their sales. With all that being said, using Fabric as a data warehouse capabilities, the firm stored data and some historical data, so they didn't know how to manage that because of the legacy systems that are now outdated. They don't really kind of with all the automations, the capabilities that are in the market, they were having some challenges doing all that. But with Fabric, we were able to identify some patterns and trends, and then use Power BI to visualize that data and personalize some dashboards for different customer segments. So we'll move on pretty fast. Not an expert, like I said. I just kind of started out with this tool as well. So this is Fabric, and with all the tools in one place, where before we had to kind of, get try to find the right connector. How do we connect to that tool? How do we bring it into Power BI? And organizational, IT teams, sometimes they don't understand the need for the users to have access to that data. And so it was a lot of times had to kind of explain to them why we needed to get in a different connector, and they were, that was pricey. So but with Fabric, it's a one-stop shop to make sure like those all risks were kind of mitigated. Okay, so can I stop for a minute? Any questions there, or should I continue?
Keep going. I'm looking forward to this.
Okay. Okay, okay, all right. So to go into the Fabric UI, you have to, once you get into that space, you have to create a workspace. And kind of the Microsoft Fabric. If you do have premium, you get free Fabric, and you can have all your data in there. So I don't have premium, so I have a trial version which is almost expiring. So I've been using that to kind of work with this client. Okay, so next, these are all the tools that are available in Fabric. If you can take a look at that, and Microsoft does a pretty good job with documentation. So just wanted to have this screen to kind of get familiar with where all those tools are. And the focus today, just gonna use One Lake and Lake House. That's what I used to build this report. Okay. So one other highlight was kind of to build trust, with your analytics, because a lot of times users came by, business users were like, okay, how do we trust like all this data is the right data that we need for the report? How are we sure it's not old, right? So because they used to manual systems whereby, a data analyst has to go in, update the report, make sure, like, they use the right data. And so, but with Fabric, data is imported into the Power BI engine fast and in real time. You could use direct query or SQL statements direct back to back every time a query is made. That is always fresh. Sometimes could be slow, but in terms of having real time data, this is the key here. Um, that went really fast on that. This is the model put together, where delta tables and some other data files in there, like flat files, where just like I explained in the other this a slide where data reads in real time, right? So in Lakehouse, right? It will only return if you run your SQL. It will return the data that is required. It's on demand. If you want, okay, to see products, that's what you're gonna see. It won't give you everything, like it would do otherwise. So, and one other thing that I wanted to highlight there, that the tables are transcoded for faster reads. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna take you back here to before I go into the demo. Fabric will store all your data, and then you can take it into Power BI to create that dashboard or report. Okay. So that's the end of this slides here. I'm gonna go into a demo quickly. I did to just go showcase that report, and it's not fancy, but it may have a lot of color because I like color. And but the point is just to kind of go through that.
All right, yeah,
Okay.
let's go for it.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna share. Okay, so my sharing, sorry, stop sharing. Okay,
Yeah, we see your
do you
browser.
you
Uh,
see you see my browser or no? I wanna bring in
yeah,
another one. Uh, Okay,
yeah. I think you'd switch to the Fabric tab.
okay, you can see
Yep.
Fabric
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome.
We can see the Microsoft Fabric tab. Yeah.
Okay, so here we are with Fabric. So once you log in, it will just give you all the tools that you need, and Power BI is right next here. And so when you get started, we'll get to go into or just show you where the lake house. I'm gonna go really, first because 7 minutes. Uh, what I did created the lake house here and few tables with some other files. So all your data, you'll see all your data
Rosette,
is in here. Yeah.
uh, I just want to say, take your time. This is the last session of the day, so yeah, don't feel
Is it?
like you need to speed it up. Yep. Yeah. So
Oh,
we're
okay.
all yours.
Oh, okay. All right. Just thank you so much for that. But you can slow me down if there are any questions, but maybe you do that last. So, okay. So these are tax rides. And here, as you can see, all their tables, altered amounts, and they can show up to 1,000 rolls, right? Um, So this is all your data in there, right? Tables we do, I can go back up. Okay, am I going? Files. Okay, and wanted to kind of show you a little bit there, but now I'll open another page. So, well, this is our lake house. I didn't start with a workspace though, but you have to create a workspace and then you navigate to your data house, then you bring in your files, um, and then you can write SQL on that, right? And you will definitely have the right information, you know. And then you can send that to your Power BI. That would be the last part. But I'll go back here quickly a little bit. So we have some objects here. So for your schema and your SQL connector string here. Um, yes. So you can write query on here. I wanted to go back into, I think I didn't show you on the last part on this slide. Simple query, yeah, to show the products and name here, list. Simple. That's what I have here in this string on the other slide, on the other page. Okay, so here is our SQL connector. And then definitely I'm gonna just take you pretty quickly into Power BI. What I was, this is our report, just 2 pages, right? And what the customer wanted to see, just a report with their city and count of customers, okay. So that's kind of the end product. And the last page where I know someone mentioned about donut donut reports, but well, there's a customer wanted to see this in real time, so you can just pivot and categorize it and be able to focus on that one customer, and then they can follow up with them, right? Yeah, so if you have any questions on that, I will pause for a minute and then we can see.
We do have some questions, but why don't we have you go through, uh, yeah, your presentation, and yeah,
Okay.
I'll keep questions for you lined up at the end.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so this is okay. I have a few more reports in, but just this is the one I wanted to kind of show because it's a bit a lot of information, and just didn't want to just bring everything all out. Since this is the first one to kind of go through. So yeah. Okay, so here for this city, we did have 400 customers, and what happened was the customer wanted to kind of improve with this, able to improve their, which was not the case before. Okay, so we're able to kind of, and then make sure that we validate all the data. And that was a big problem before we started because there was a lot of ambiguity to, and data wasn't fresh, was not refreshed in real time. And so with this, we were able to kind of, to have data integrity, which was a key point we wanted to achieve.
All right. Hey, Rosette, just make sure to end at the contact info slide. Whenever, uh, y- you know,
Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. I kind of wanted to, get it really fast and quick, 30 right on the minute. And so I
That's
think
right.
I'll give it back to you and yeah, take it away.
Yeah, so I think I'll admit that I have. I swear I can't. If somebody asked me like, "What is Microsoft Fabric?" I don't think I could give them a coherent answer. Not for the data lake and all this stuff. And part of it is because of my target audience. I'm focused on Power BI beginners. I'm focused on um, small businesses, and
Right.
these things don't apply. So
Okay.
I really appreciated kind of seeing you step through. And in a way, it was kind of really nice for me to see and hear your stories. Like, hey, yeah, I was just getting started, and kind of see that 101 level view. It's like, okay, that's what it means. So
Okay.
what I'm curious about is that what is the pricing? Do you think it would ever make sense for a small business? Like, what uh, what size of business does Fabric doing all this data lake and all? It's cool stuff, but yeah, at what size do you think it makes sense, and when it might be overkill?
I know that's a great question, Avi. What size? I think mid-size business.
Hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, we
Okay.
can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So it, kind of depends because with data being in all different places for a mid-sized business, then that is a challenge that they kind of had. But for a small business, I think it's just Power BI is good enough for them, right? And two, like see, I'm a newbie in this area, so I'll come up and bother you with when that time comes and just
Yeah.
go over some of those questions if they come up.
Yeah. So Julie was asking a great question along the same line. So yeah, it may not make sense for small businesses, but for mid businesses, it may make sense.
Mhm.
But what is it that they're getting when they go for Fabric, which they're not getting in Power BI? So you showed us some elements. I saw kind of the data lake and data factory. Yeah, I mean, are those elements part of Fabric and they're not part of Power BI? Is that what they're getting?
Yes, they're not. Yes, that's what they're getting. Correct.
Okay, great. And well, just curious, do you know what is the next step for this business? How have they received it? What are you guys planning to do? What are they planning to do next? Where to go with this?
Way to go is just to kind of engage once they have more, they have more questions in terms of how they want to move forward. Because this was the target was just to understand, get their customers and just understand, their,
Hmm.
how they were working, uh, they were buying, just to learn from their data. Because a lot of businesses, they don't understand their data. Like, what, they just have old data, and okay, they don't know how to create insights from it,
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah.
but now, like, if there are competitors coming up, business users wants to know, like, okay, what could I do to, improve my sales, right? The sales are low. How do I, what is my competitor? What is it doing? So the best way to answer that question is to go back into your data, into your customers. What type of customers do you have, and how do you actually learn from their patterns? When do they buy? What seasons, and what are they looking at? And how do you kind of improve your customer service? Because if they're having challenges with your website, how can you improve that? Like, you can learn from that data. And then, yes.
That is
Hmm.
great. In
Yeah.
in earlier, I was talking about this, where data is like an employee who's a useless employee, it's just sitting around doing nothing. Right? That's what I've seen. Is the truth in a lot of companies. Their data is just sitting around accumulating, right? Eating junk food, getting fatter.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
hey, let's put that to work. Your data can run marathons for you, and you have it sitting
Exactly.
on the couch, watching Netflix, eating chips and ice cream. And
Yes.
yeah, okay, all right. Hey, I guess, folks, that's a lively note to end things on. Rosette, thank you so much for giving us a glimpse of your work. And yeah, so folks, I had put her LinkedIn information in the chat box. Make sure to connect with her, make sure to connect with our other speakers. And tomorrow we have something special for you folks. We have some of our Learn Power BI scholarship program members, and I had to figure it out. Why doesn't the links that I send, why don't they show up as links? Uh, where is it? Oh, actually, let me try that again. Um, Join us for day 3. Okay. Let's say, did that work? Oh, God, I don't know. If you cannot copy the link, then just type in powerbiconference.com, and I'll tell you. So that is tomorrow. It's going to be a pretty compact session. Maybe it'll just be 30, 45 minutes. But we really want you to be there because this is to support our scholarship program members. So scholarship program is run by Robert and by on our team. And yeah, we just want to help people who are committed to the Learn Power BI path, but don't have the financial means right now. And this is the first year, and it's all thanks to Robert in a big way. Um, so earlier we used to, I'll be candid with you guys. I think I ran it for 1 year, and then I was so focused on the training program and the consulting that I didn't run it for maybe 2 years, even though it is an idea close to my heart, but I just couldn't find time. Robert has taken it over, and this year, for the first time, we've run it twice in a year. And that's awesome because we can reach 2x the number of people. So we have just selected 20. Robert has selected 24 incredible members in the program. Now those have just gotten started, but what's happening tomorrow is that our members from our previous program, some of them will be presenting. So we believe in this program. Show We would love to have you show up to support this cause, and we get people from all over in all kinds of circumstances. And um, yeah, so hey, learning Power BI is kind of hard enough, but if you have other things in your life going on, like financial challenges and stuff, it's even harder. So we're glad that we are able to provide this scholarship opportunity to these members. And oddly, what we have seen is that, yeah, they are so focused and so invested, often a lot more so than a regular Power BI member. So yeah, folks, great set of group. So yeah, that will be tomorrow. You know where to find me. I'm always active on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, any Power BI questions, any career related questions, your business related questions, just hit me up. Just send me a message on LinkedIn. I'll see you tomorrow for our final and exciting session for our Power BI conference. Hope you enjoyed it so far. Take care.